Hello, and welcome to episode 31 of the Genre Blender podcast, where we explore what makes stories stick from page to the screen. I'm Kris.
Rian, and we have a packed episode for today because, drumroll, someone amongst us finally launched his debut novel.
We have a packed episode.
Haha, do you see what I did there? We could do these forever, right? Like, I'm kind of excited for the puns.
So many funnies to come from this book, although not so much for the people inside of the book.
Maybe not, which we will talk about somewhat.
Yeah, 100%.
But look, for those unaware, probably not too many that watch our show, of course, but Kris has finally launched his debut novel, Alpha, and it is up on Amazon Kindle and available physically later on, I understand, on Amazon as well. And the book, of course, will be linked in the show notes, so check it out. Kris is probably too humble to mention anything like this, so I'll say it for him, but please go and...
I'm trying not to blush.
Please go check it out. Go read it, go share it around, go review it on Goodreads and Storygraph and wherever your reviews go, but check it out. It's pretty cool, and it's kind of amazing that you actually are a published author now. How does that make you feel?
It was good. I mean, we'll get into questions later, but... it was so surreal taking the wannabe author off my Instagram page, and I was like, wait, I can call myself that now.
You can indeed, sir.
Regardless of whether it's good or crap, I can call myself an author now. It's there. It's
100%.
Out there.
100%. Very cool. So in the episode today, we're going to get into a bit of an interview. I get to put on my interviewer hat, which I don't think I've ever done before, so that's going to be fun.
Happy to be a guinea pig.
It's good if I balls it up, it's just you, so it doesn't really matter. But we'll talk about the book a little bit more and a bit of the writing process and so on. So yeah, so look forward to that. So that's coming up later on. But first, shall we get into a little bit of news at the Newsstand?
There has been some fun news that came out this month.
What?
I know the one that I want to talk about the most, so I'm going to start with that, and it's in no order, because why would I do that for us on these episodes? The Steam Machine.
I was wondering if that's what you're referring to. Yep.
Hell yeah. And Ryan has painstakingly talked to me over the last, 24 months of our lives about me buying a portable console, and now we've got a actual console that we can, like, anyone who doesn't have a Windows, because I know Ryan and other people like Macs, you can't get all the Steam capabilities. So the Steam console gives people the ability to have their Steam library. You no longer need a Windows PC to be able to play. And this one plays AAA games as well. So I was stoked.
Yeah. It's a very changing landscape at the moment. It's funny because we have talked about like what console what handheld PC really you're going to get for a long time, and as we've been talking about it, and like things have been coming up in the background, like, oh, this has been launched and this other new one's out, and like there was like the MSI Claw that came out, and now it's changed again with the Steam Machine.
What I like about this is I feel like Steam have really bided their time, and they've let the new technology come out. Now, this isn't the most advanced system, right, that we're looking at. It's not like a PS5 or an Xbox, whatever we're up to, with all the bells and whistles on it. This is a very humble looking machine with hopefully a humble price point for us poorbies over on this end. But what it offers is something like just the Steam library, the ability to have the Steam library on your TV ready to go, and no one, in my opinion, is touching the amount of games and the amount of access that Steam has. Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I will probably be purchasing this for pre-ordering whenever they are available.
Yeah, I think I probably will as well. I'm a little concerned about, I'm not going to get too nerdy, but like the amount of like video RAM that's in the graphics card, there's some concerns, but at the end of the day, yeah, if the price reflects what you actually get pretty well, especially for us Aussies, where things are stupid expensive, then yeah, I'm down for it. Because for what it's worth, like the Steam Deck, when I tried plugging that into a screen, like you can do it. It's not great. It's not really designed for that. It's annoying. So this will be nice because you'll get that syncing between the Steam Deck, if you have one, or a Windows handheld, and whatever you're playing on the big screen. without having to use a Switch, because otherwise that's the option, right? The easy access between TV and handheld. It was always the Switch, so this gives us an alternative, which is great.
Well, that was my fun news. I mean, there's more, but I'll hand over to you for anything exciting that you've got.
I'll just add on to that. There's also the Steam Frame, the VR headset, and I have my eye on that too. And I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of because it's supposed to. It sounds great on paper, and the people that have had hands on. But I'm a little skeptical of not Steam, but like.
What would you play VR? I mean, I've only ever seen Beat Saber come up on the.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're not, I can't play because I get motion sickness.
Yeah.
But if you don't get motion sickness, there's like some of the open world games would be so fun in a VR.
Yeah. It's funny because I have access to these games. I have the PSVR 2, and I don't play it a lot. And I think it's just because I don't enjoy those kinds of games a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
But Beat Saber was like my bread and butter, and then they stopped support for it on PlayStation. They're not updating anymore. There's not going to be any new songs. So unless you go for like the MetaQuest, there's not really an option. So it might be the same for the Steam Frame. I don't know what that's going to look like. It's probably not going to be something that I should buy in terms of spending money on it.
What if you get like a Mass Effect VR though?
Oh,
loses Ryan for 3 to 5 years.
Dude, I don't know. Do I want that? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I'm not sure.
You get those like things where you're on the treadmill and like you're all hooked up to everything, so you can go around and
the whole works.
Imagine how fit we'd get though.
Oh, totally. Beat Saber's a great workout. So yeah. We'll go to the next item on the list, which is technically related, since you brought up Mass Effect. So N7 Day happened, which is November 7th. For those unaware, something that we sort of have every year. BioWare usually gives us a little bit of something about the new Mass Effect that's coming out, or just a celebration of Mass Effect in general. And we got a little something from them. I don't know if it was satisfying, maybe kinda. But basically, Mike Gamble put together a blog post just talking about some general stuff on on BioWare's website. And in that blog post, there was some sort of hidden code, I guess, that you can put together. And anyway, what we discovered was some new information about the new Mass Effect that's coming out, something related to a Krogan civil war. So I'm kind of interested in all this little drip-fed information that we're getting about it. But honestly, what was more funny to me was the fact that Owlcat Games, who are doing the Expanse Osiris Initiative game, which is the Expanse series game, they released their main theme song on N7 Day, and it's just so funny because there's so many like similarities between those two games.
So on the nose.
It's just kind of perfect, So they were kind of having a cheeky moment there, I think, but it was great, and I'm so looking forward to that game as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about whatever new Mass Effect game is coming out, but I'm also a little bit concerned, as are we all, I think.
I think the franchise went for a decade. I mean, it's still going. There's a lot of pressure now for the aging millennials who have loved Mass Effect, to try. I always think about this with big franchises. Like, you've got to try and get a new audience in, as well as please your old audience, and it must be such a hard balance. And I think we saw that in Dragon Age Valguard, is that and look, that's just an EA special. Like the graphics looked very EA and almost sim like, really, where I can see the pull for a new audience, but it wasn't necessarily satisfying to its old audience. And I think Mass Effect's got to live up to that same very, very high expectations. For them. But in other gaming related news, Overcooked. And I had to bring this up because this is one of the funniest things I've ever read, and I hope it's true. I'm not a reality TV watcher, but apparently there's an Overcooked reality TV competition in the works at Netflix. I cannot tell our watchers and listeners how many hours I put into this stupid fucking game. And Rachel, my wife, bless her soul, does not cook, but she gets so mean in Overcooked. She runs that kitchen, and I just think it'd be really funny to see that in a reality TV. Really? And we said, wouldn't it be funny if they put all these people who can't cook in this stupid situation. And I was like reading the comments on the post, and it was like, imagine if you just keep throwing the roast on the ground because you have nowhere else. And it's just like so fast paced and nonsense. Anyway, I thought that was brilliant. Can't wait.
I'd kind of watch that. I actually want to play Overcooked with Rachel because I feel like that would be the most fun, stupid
so mean.
experience. I love that game so much.
I've been told off, and I was like, for someone who doesn't cook, you're very opinionated on cooking.
Oh, that's great.
When it comes to this game, but we used to play every Friday night for hours, so I think she's clocked close to 1,000 hours.
Wow.
On between 1 and 2.
Wow.
We were looking at all the hours played the other day, and it was a lot.
It's a good game.
So I thought that was funny.
Nice. What else we got? There's a game that... Do you want to talk about this game that I... This Xbox partner...
I don't know. I watched the Xbox partner previews, and there's a game called Zoo Punk, which Ryan is skeptical about, but I thought it looked fun. Except anything that looks like fun to me tends to be a Souls-like game, and then you play it, and you want to rage quit within 3 seconds.
I looked at this game, and I just went, this just looks like everything else except... And it's funny, because we're talking about your book today, and all the characters are animals. I just had this moment.
But I'm so drawn to that.
I know.
So I was like, that's a me thing.
Yeah.
I don't want people, I just want animals.
Yep. It's just funny. Like I was reading your book at the same time because I literally finished it last night, by the way, just FYI. So I was like watching these in prep for the podcast and clicked on that. I was just like, oh, of course they're animals.
That's on brand.
Yep. Yep. But in other related gaming news, so there was also this thing going on at the moment with the Game Awards it's upcoming. It's December, I think. There's drama amongst the gaming community.
Is there?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you know who Alana Pierce is, but she's basically... She's a game developer, a game writer, technically, and she also has a YouTube as well, but she speaks really well on certain like gaming-related topics, and she put a video on this very topic about this drama that's going on, and I kind of avoid this stuff, so I find out through videos of hers and other people's, and essentially there's two games that are having some moments at the moment. One is Dispatch, which I haven't yet played, but I talked about last month. And I'm looking forward to playing the game because I think it's episodic and all the episodes are out now.
I actually watched the trailer, and I'm not a superhero guy, but it does look fun.
Right, exactly right.
Yeah.
So I'll be playing that. Hopefully, I've got some days off coming up, so hopefully I'll play it then. Anyway, because of the way the cutoff dates happen, it wasn't eligible for this year, right? Because it wasn't technically out, and a lot of people didn't want to vote for it for other things because it wasn't complete at the time of voting, so it wasn't nominated. But it turns out it's not also eligible next year because of the way the dates work. So it's in this weird limbo state.
That must be annoying for the developers and the producers of it.
So that's interesting. But then also Expedition 33. So because everyone kind of assumed it's going to like sweep all of the awards this year because it was everyone's sort of game of the year that they were talking about way early in the year, myself included. But it seems like everyone's nominated it for pretty much every category, right? Including the best indie game, which also begs the argument and this whole debate at the moment as to what is an indie game, right? Is it like the size of the development team? Is it like, because technically it's supposed to be a game that doesn't have a publisher, right? So it has to be like an indie, small indie publisher, or they're publishing it themselves. But now there's all of these developers that have they outsource their content that they use for the game. So they technically have this massive team, yet they can still call them an indie studio. So there's all of that going on at the moment, and everyone's debating it, which is hilarious because in her video she also makes the point about it's not that serious. It's really not.
Nothing is that serious, but people get up in arms about it. Well, look, I feel like we've done 15 minutes on news, so perhaps we should move on to our read, watch, play. We can circle back to some of these other things at a later date if they're still relevant.
Absolutely. So speaking of read, watch, play, then Kris.
I see what you did there.
How do we do this? Do we want to do round robin style as per usual?
Yeah. So if we just want to do books,
and more books. It's been lots of books.
Actually, not for me. Not for me this month.
Well, someone had to read a certain book. So let's talk about books first then. And look, I won't talk about your book yet. I have been reading Alpha. That much is obvious.
Same.
Yeah, many times. So I hear.
So many fucking times.
I hear that's what actually happens when you publish a book. So I won't talk about it too much other than I have read it, I did enjoy it, and I will be reviewing it, not here on the podcast today.
So scared. It's not a book you would generally pick up, which is so funny to me. Some of the people that pick up this book, I'm like, it's not something you'll enjoy, but thank you for the support.
I love this position that I'm in currently because I have not told Kris what I think of his book at all. Like, we haven't talked about it. I literally finished it last night.
And I'll be finding out this review on the Genre Blender website, I'm sure.
I should post it there too, shouldn't I? That's true. But yeah, I have actually started writing a proper review for you, so that will go up. And I'm sorry that it's so late because it was supposed to be, because of course that was the arc.
You're totally fine.
Yeah. But anyway, it is coming, so I won't talk about what I think of the book here. But I also have just finished, I actually finished this today before the podcast, Automatic Noodle.
You're doing well.
By Annalee Newitz. Yeah, considering we finished Exodus as well, and that was a whole thing, I feel like I've done nothing but reading for the last, I don't even know how long. This one, though, I love this book. I freaking loved it. I started reading this when we were away for the weekend, and it's a little bit in the vlog that we put together on our YouTube channel. But Automatic Noodle, Annalee Newitz, fantastic book. I don't often... I usually like to sit with it a little bit and think about it before I start, recommending it to everybody. But this one, no, everyone should just read this one. I think you should read it too, Kris. Fantastic. It is actually, I'll read you the little synopsis just briefly. So, and then I'll get into why I loved it so much. But so the synopsis says, and this is from the Pan Macmillan website, so I don't know if it's technically different on Goodreads. It might be. You don't have to eat food to know the way to a city's heart is through its stomach. So when a group of deactivated robots come back online in an abandoned ghost kitchen, they decide to make their own way doing what they know, making the tastiest hand-pulled noodles around for the humans of San Francisco who are recovering from a devastating war. But when their robot-run business starts causing a stir, a targeted wave of one-star reviews threatens to boil over into a crisis. To keep their doors open, they'll have to call on their customers, their community, and each other, and find a way to survive and thrive in a world that wasn't built for them. Right. So on the surface, it's kind of on point right now. Like, it's it's about reviews, but it's also a trans allegory, a queer allegory as well. You can be read on many levels, and it's not like it's subtle about it, which is usually a bit of a turn off for me. But it was brilliant, and I think it's just because Newitz is just such they have such a deft hand writing. Obviously, they've been doing a lot. They used to run IO9. I think I've talked about it before with you, but it was a sci-fi website that I used to read religiously back in the day. So they usually do a lot of really big ideas, and they write about some really philosophical, technological kind of topics. So this has all of that, but it's also really cozy and whimsy and fun, and it's a little bit reminded me a lot of the Robot and Monk books by Becky Chambers. But I think it kind of has a slight advantage because it's also relevant to our right now. So I do think it's worth checking out if you haven't read anything by Annalee Newitz, or if you're new to kind of cozy sci-fi. I would recommend starting with this one. I think it's a great book.
I mean, it sounds good. I don't often gravitate towards cozy anything, but
I know.
It sounds like there's enough themes in there to sort of delve into. And the cozy that I do like generally has food involved, so potentially.
100%. Yeah, this one it's technically a dystopia, but it's also cozy. So yeah, make of that what you will, but I think you would enjoy it, and there's something in it for you specifically, but I think for everyone.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Probably will read it. At least it's a novella. Although I don't generally love novellas either, because I like substance.
Has it?
When I
I
read.
promise.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Cool.
Was that it for your
Yeah,
reads?
that's what I've been reading. That's it.
I really switched gears a lot this last month, and I think maybe just because I had to get away from sci-fi. Although, ironically, Alpha is not a book I would generally pick up nowadays, which is there's a reason for that and why I chose to write something that I don't generally gravitate towards, but I read a lot of when I was younger.
Sure.
So I read mostly contemporary for the last little bit. So first off, I read City of Girls. I think I mentioned that in the last one, but I finished it. Absolutely delightful I loved it so much. It was about a 89-year-old woman who was looking back at her life in New York from the 1940s up until almost present day, and she was just writing this letter and explaining her relationship with the person who she's writing the letter to's father, because it was so complicated. And she's like, well, to know that, you need to know my whole story. And it was just full of glamour and drama. It's written by Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which I've not read. And I loved it. I was so surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And I just couldn't get enough. I read it. I listened to it so quickly, and I don't listen to audio very quickly at all. Then I picked up a contemporary crime called Scorched Grace by Margot Doherty. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Awesome.
This cover is fantastic. This is fine. I always tend to know what I'm getting into with crime thriller. I didn't really like the main character, Sister Holiday, although I do like the representation. She is a chain-smoking, heavily tattooed queer nun who hasn't taken her full vows yet, and she investigates a series of arson attacks that have happened within the convent that she's in. It's just a whodunit. It was enjoyable enough. Middle of the road for me. I couldn't really get invested in the characters, but you know what? For what it was and for what I needed it for, it was fine. And I've now given it to my housemate. I had to nick it back to show it on the screen here. I've read Alpha about 74 times in the last month.
Yep.
To put it into perspective, I didn't realize how many times I'd have to read my fucking book, but over the last weekend when it was getting prepped, I read those 400 pages 3 times. And I was so fatigued by everyone in that book and their nonsense. But I have very slowly been making my way through Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. This is the 3rd and final book in the Rook and Rose trilogy. This is fantasy. I love it. Every time I pick it up, I'm so entranced by it, but I think I'm so fatigued by just physically reading that I'm getting like 20, 30 pages in each sitting. The aim is to finish it before the end of the month. I've got about 200 pages left of that to go. And the last one I've just picked up is a romance. It's a bisexual poly romance. And this is for a book club, which I've decided I'm going to go in real life to see real people and talk about books. And I don't care what genre it is, but I need to make friends. Anyways, little queer community in Perth. And they're reading Triple Sec by TJ Alexander. I don't know. Don't quote me on the name.
We'll put it in the show notes.
I've read about 20% of it. Again, delightful. It is easy. It's not hard literature to get. It's really not. Yeah. Is it going to be a favourite? No. It literally takes no brain space.
It has
zero
a purpose.
Has to go into it. But I'm looking forward to talking about it to other people. I don't know that my opinions will necessarily match the opinions of people who are just reading fluff for fluff's sake, because I tend to read for deeper meaning, but I think that'll be a fun conversation. Maybe they'll just think I'm a ponce and they won't invite me back.
I doubt that. I think could be a case. I think the more different opinions and experiences and stuff, the better, though, right? Like if that's not what you would typically read, I think that gives a fresh perspective. So it's good.
Yeah, but that was books. I've not done a lot else.
Yeah, I feel like that's all I've done lately between work and life things. But I have also, where's my notes? I have watched a couple of things. I've played nothing. I'll just say that right up front. So you'll probably be able to share some stuff there. But have watched a couple of things. I finished watching Wayward, which I talked about before. But now I could talk about it as a complete thing, and it was great. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It's just so offbeat and weird, but also has the queer rep. And there was a scene at the end that I was just like, wow. There's a bit of slight spoilers, not really, but very slight spoilers. There's a scene where you actually see real, someone's actual top surgery scars, like a real, transmasc person's, and that's to me, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like this isn't something you ever see and this is mainstream TV, and I'm like
the Fosters had it.
Yeah,
that was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not. The rep is still it's getting there, but I still am shocked every time, and I'm just like this is a moment where I was just kind of having to think about how do I feel about this? I'm not really sure, you know. But that was cool. But I just love the story was kind of weird and wacky, and I always love it when it kind of skirts the border between like paranormal, supernatural, like you're not really sure, and then there's a rational explanation for it, right? And that's kind of why I always loved things like X-Files, because it would always be like both sides. Like you'd have Mulder and you'd have Scully's like, you know, opinion about whatever. So it kind of did that, and I really loved it for that. And Toni Collette is just... She can do no wrong. She's just...
Toni Collette has really lent into the weird.
She has.
Over
the
last
really
decade
well.
or so of her career.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? That sounds odd.
Yep, let me do it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I've come off the back of the rom-coms and all that shit.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, I'm just doing what I want now.
Yeah.
I love that
Props
for her.
to her, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you go.
I watched something that I had originally on my spinner wheel that I have been putting off for a while, and this is a rom-com, and it's called Red, White and Royal Blue, and it's a book adaptation.
Yes.
And it's a queer, like, male romance, and I'm not a rom-com guy normally. Like, I find them predictable and cheesy, and I just don't care. It was sweet. It was very cute. It was still predictable and cheesy, but I had a much better time with it than I thought I would. And again, like, I think my brain's been so focused that it was just nice to put something on that I didn't have to think about too much. And then we went and saw Now You See Me, Now You Don't. I went to a real life cinema. I spent so much money. I went to a real life cinema and saw that movie, and I put this in our Discord, but Rosamund Pike really tried her hardest to nail a South African accent. I was like, that's so mean to put South African accents in if you're not South African, because that is a hard fucking accent to nail.
Yep.
And they did it to two of the actors had to do South African accents. And the inflections on them is just so difficult for people to get if they're not natives, if they don't speak Afrikaans, or they're not from the country. She did a pretty good job, though. I'll give her that. There was a few times when she had to speak fast, where she'd lose it and she'd go back into the English accent.
Yeah.
But like then she would try and slow the speech down, and like if she was doing it slow, she'd nail it. It's just funny. The movie was fine. Rachel said it was a bisexual smorgasbord because she had, and Rachel's a car person as well, so she had the Abu Dhabi racetrack in Dubai with fancy cars. She had Rosamund Pike in like a sleeveless car suit, and she had Dave Franco clutching like wet. There was water everywhere and his biceps were bulging, and we were down in the front in the day beds, and she was having a great time with her life.
Interesting.
But it was fun. And then I've been watching Welcome to Derry, which is the It prequel. I'm almost up to date with it. I got one episode, and we are watching All's Fair. Unfortunately, Rachel really likes it for me. I thought it was shit, but we're watching it together. So we are up to date with that one. Actually, we've got one episode of that left to go as well. Gaming-wise, you said you didn't have anything.
No, so gaming-wise, I haven't played anything. I did watch one other thing though, which is a movie called Bring Her Back. Which,
I'm sorry, I meant to cut you off.
It's fine. We do round robin style anyway. But the reason I didn't jump straight into that was because I don't know how I felt about it. I literally wrote "I don't know, man" on my notes, and
That's pretty clear,
man.
That's
yeah. It was directed by the Filippo brothers, who they're Aussies, so they've done a lot of like indie horror kind of stuff, YouTube stuff as well. So if you kind of like that stuff, you probably will enjoy it. I liked it for the vibes. It was weird. It had that like unsettling weirdness to it, and it's basically like there's this kid and his sister who is blind, who this is like happens super early because it's not really spoilers, but their father passes away, and then they have to be fostered. Fostered out to someone else, and so they have a home, and then some weird stuff happens, and I'll just leave it there because it's I don't really know how to explain it otherwise. But yeah, for vibes alone, like I liked it. In the middle, it kind of just fell apart, though. I feel like it didn't go down the direction I thought it would, which is ordinarily fine, but not when it is not satisfying, and I felt it wasn't very satisfying. There were some moments, but other than that, I felt the writing fell apart, like the actual cohesion of the story. But yeah, it was weird. If you like weird, you probably like it.
I do like weird.
Yeah, you might like it.
I like weird, unsettling shit that makes no sense.
Yeah.
No one will go see movies with me for that reason. Yeah, watch it. I'm curious what you think. All right. Well, I might curb my gaming because I had a few in there, but I will just say that I read. I played a little bit of Bloomtown, which is my backlog spinner wheel.
Talk about
I don't
that
know how I feel about it. Like, I will continue to play it. I think I've done maybe 6 or 7 hours on it. I played a little bit more this last week once Alpha was live, and I'm at like the first boss battle, I guess, and it's more difficult than I would normally give it time of day for. And I think that's just because I am so impatient when it comes to leveling up. Like, I don't mind the grind, but this game isn't a grindy game. It's more that you need to put your money, time, effort into learning different, like, armor and weapons and stuff. And I'm just like a melee guy. I'm just like, give me a sword. I'm gonna hack and slash. I don't give a shit about all these, like, tiered skills that I have to upskill. So I think I need to be a bit more patient with it. I love the colors. I love the premise of it. So very, very briefly, you are sent to your grandfather's house for the summer because your parents are off doing something, and you essentially go into this really idyllic, beautiful town, and you find out that there are these disappearances of children, and you also play a child. So we play a young girl. I can't remember her name, but her brother's name is Chester. Emily, I think her name is. Don't quote me on that. So one of the first things you do is you go into a park and you realize that one of these friends have been taken, and then you try to find and save this friend, but the friend has been taken to the underworld. So there is a secondary layer to the whole town, which is very cool. So you can go to the underside, is what it's called. You travel there via your corded phone with friends that you meet along the way, and it opens up like an alternate reality of demons and whatnot. So you've got to go through a library and save this girl. It's the first thing that you've got to do. I assume there's more that comes our way. My biggest criticism with this is it tries to do too much with the simplistic graphics, and they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but your pixel art can be quite limited in terms of graphics and what you can do with them. It's got elements of D&D, it's got elements of just like fantasy role-playing games. You've got the turn-based, which isn't normally my favourite. Turn-based isn't normally my favourite anyway. In there, you are trying to do quests, you're trying to meet people around the town. So I think if they had simplified it a little bit and made it very clear on what we're going for. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? People who play these games are playing them because they're very comforted by the types of games that you're playing. It may have worked better, but I will give it some more time. I just won't harp on about it too much in the next episode if I do continue to play it. But I have been watching Rach and Jim play Arc Raiders, which looks like a bit of fun. So they've been playing that over the last
new one
couple
that
of
came
weeks.
out?
Yeah. Okay. I bought it for Rachel literally yesterday. I was like, as a thank you for editing my book, I can't afford $1,000, but if you want Arc Raiders to play with Jim, I can afford that.
That's cool.
So they've been playing a little bit together, and it's fun to watch. A bit motion sickness for me, even though it's third person. You've got to like move your gun to like hit the tech, and like just that movement super fast makes me go ooh. So
small doses.
I've been watching rather than playing it myself, but it's been cool to watch.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it looks interesting. It's not for me either, but it looks cool. It looks cool. Nice. Yeah, interesting about Bloomtown. Okay, well, I mean, did you play any let's see, the one Grimshire? Have you been playing that again, or are you done? That's a yes.
Next question, please. I put in about 20 hours of that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been playing Grimshire. Thank you so much for asking. I am nearly at the end of my second full playthrough of Early Access, which means I'll clock 100 hours in it before it even hits full release.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just scolded myself literally this morning. I was like, do something else.
You're going to buy a Steam machine and you're just going to be playing Grimshire.
Like Grimshire. Well, I did buy In Tycoon, and I've played like 5 seconds of it. And it keeps crashing my fucking keyboard.
Oh, no.
Because I have an old computer, an old laptop. It's fun. And I can see it's one of those like idle games that you just sort of watch happen while you're doing other stuff. So I might use it for that, but I've enjoyed what I've played of it so far, bar every time I get out of it I have to restart my whole computer so my keyboard works again.
It's fun. Nice. Cool. Well, bit of a gaming time for you. It is good for the old brain space sometimes, especially with all the reading. So speaking of reading, shall we enter the guest spot section of the episode where I get to.
Do you want me to come back in? I'll just walk away. Like, here's the guest.
Ta-da. Yeah. No, this is actually perfect for like our first one of these because we hope to do more, obviously, but it makes sense that the first one, our first guest, is Kris or KD Marchesi, which your actual published
name right.
Thank you. I did my homework.
You practiced.
I practiced beforehand. So, Alpha, your debut novel, launched 3 days ago. At the time of recording, on the 20th of November. So, firstly, a huge congrats, if I can speak, a huge congrats to you, man, because that is something like that is pretty special, and that was a massive effort, and I know all the time, blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. So, firstly, yeah, big congrats to you.
Thank you. There are a few people in my life who have had to weather the storm with me, and Ryan is one of them. Just hearing about it every few days.
I think my involvement has been quite minimal compared to I know there's so many people that had more involvement, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, no, that's really cool that that's finally out. This will be a spoiler-free interview, by the way, because I want people, because it's obviously just come out, and I want people to have the opportunity to read it and really explore it without getting spoiled about any of it. So everything we talk about, we're not getting into it, and maybe at some point in the future we can revisit it in more detail about certain things, but I think for now it makes sense to keep it very spoiler-free. So I do want to talk with you about like the process of writing. That was really my main interest, and by the way, I basically told Kris that I'd be interviewing him. I didn't even ask. I just said, hey, well, we're just going to do we're going to do an interview episode. So it was mostly I basically bullied him into it. But my reason for it is I'm interested in the writing process. Like that was what I wanted to know more about. But also some specific sort of thematic things as well that we can talk about kind of spoiler free. So I'm just going to basically give you this 10 questions that I've prepared, and I'm going to ask Kris some questions, and feel free to talk about it in any which way you like. So first and foremost, how does it feel to be a published author now?
Very surreal. I've wanted to write since I was a kid, like thinking back in, and I think this is the same with everyone, right? Everyone who gets into writing, it starts at a very young age. I've always been creative, particularly in the written world. Like I remember primary school, like even my earliest memories are like playing school and writing stories in English class. I was a boring child. I'm a boring adult as well.
Love it.
But even like when I was out and about, I'd be taking influence from things that I'd seen, mainly Pokemon, because I view myself as like an 8-year-old child always. And I was like on my bike pretending I was writing Arcanine or Ponyta all the time. And also just making stories. I would never go to bed either. I would just make up stories. Like I would go to bed at the right time because I am a rule follower, but I would just make up stories and like act out scenarios in my head, and then that would translate to writing stories about them. So yeah, it feels very surreal. I don't know that has sunk in yet, and I've had so much support from a lot of people. I debated whether to announce it publicly to friends and family, but I ended up doing it because I'm proud of it. Yeah. But yeah, it hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, I bet. It'll probably be a while.
I can't wait for all the tangents that you're going to get on these 10 questions. This could be a 4-hour episode. We don't know. I
hope so. That's what we're here for, right? Wouldn't be John.
We'll do a whole story on Kris's tangents.
Yes. Yeah. So for those hearing about Alpha for the first time, or not following you throughout the process, because you've been posting on social media and bits and pieces, of course. Can you give a quick like elevator pitch of the book, like the synopsis of the book, just to sort of pique everyone's interest?
This is the only one I prepped for. I didn't prep for anything else because I had no idea what to say. I like my initial one that I told you this morning, but I don't know that's gonna capture what the story is about. So Caleb Murillo has lived a life of incredible privilege. He's free from the scrutiny of his father's eye as long as he complies with 2 very simple rules. The first is he needs to turn up to any event that his father tells him to, and the second is to not open any locked doors. by any means. So when his former best friend turns up at his father's latest investors' soiree, Caleb is pulled into a web of madness. Their fathers have been working together for years, cooking up sick experiments in their hidden laboratories, and now they are thinking big. Unfortunately for the two of them, it is already too late to get out of the mess that is coming for them. When the lights go out and Caleb finds himself trapped in a game he has no idea how to play, first he'll need to break out of his crate, and then he'll need to survive a world he never saw coming. Off the coastline of the United States lies an island, one kept hidden by powerful forces holding military secrets you didn't think were possible, including what Caleb will become.
It's always interesting hearing the synopsis or reading the synopsis after you've read the book. I always love that because it kind of changes how you see things.
So you view the stories.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool. A little bit of everything, and you've kind of, and you put it in sort of your promo material. It's a little bit of like if Orphan Black and what was the other one? Animorphs, of course. There was something else that you thrown in there as well, I think, a few times, and it's just like a bit of a mash of that. And having read it now, I can say, yeah, it actually is. And I'm usually pretty skeptical about, when people talk about things in that way, but I see all of those elements and they actually worked pretty well with...
I put Hunger Games in there as a comp title, but it's not about the...
Yeah.
It's not about the core message of the Hunger Games.
Yes.
It's more the survival elements of that first book that Suzanne Collins... And, I'm not a huge Hunger Games fan, personally. I read them, I watched them, but I did like those elements in the story, so that's where I would comp that one, but not so much the whole children killing other children for the sake of the game. Although,
well,
books 2 and 3 have to come. Yeah,
read them. So now that you've had some personal experience in all the different parts of the writing process, the rewriting, the editing, the publishing of it, all the stuff that goes into that, and all the people that you've talked to and liaised with over this whole process. What's the most challenging part of the process? What's the most challenging? What's the most rewarding part of the process? And what did you find to be the most unexpected?
I think this answer is going to be different for every author, right? For me, the most challenging process was learning these characters inside and out. So I wrote the first draft, went to alpha readers and did edits, and then I sent it off to a dev editor. And the dev editor, Olivia Hofer, I'll put her down below. She's worked with L.L. McRae before, is one of my favourite indie authors. Really challenged me to look deeper and said that you need to know these characters inside and out. You need to be able to answer questions for readers who have them, even if you never bring those points up in the book. And that was a challenge, because I think prior to getting that developmental edit, it was the characters are the same, but they were surface level. And as a world building reader, I naturally leant more into that than the characters, and it's because of her guidance, and that was the most challenging part, was to go, okay, who are they? What had they done prior to this? How would they act in this situation? Would this person really do that, or is that character bleeding into what this person does? And I saw a lot of it with Argo and Caleb, and they're very parallel characters to one another, even though they had a similar upbringing to a point, and I won't go into spoilers there. That was definitely the most challenging, was like, okay, and now I know I'm all the better for it, because I know what's going to happen to these characters in books 2 and books 3. Whereas you guys don't, hopefully, at this point. But I do, because of that backstory, that background work that I did with them. But that took a lot of soul searching for myself and for also the cast that I have in the book. The most rewarding is definitely seeing the story take shape. So many edits happened, and I think I underestimated how many edits happen before this book gets published, and now it's out of my hands. I don't own this book anymore. It now belongs to the readers. Watching the difference in real time from alpha draft, which is shite.
It's supposed to be, right? The shitty first draft is so called. Yeah.
To the point where it is today, and I'm like, I am proud of this book regardless if people like it or not. And seeing that the difference in the shape, its own story arc, if you will, was the most rewarding part. And Unexpected was my first video review. It only came out, so Ven did a video review for me, and I know he's been following my channel for a little while, but the in-depth, and I was like, this is so surreal from being someone who does this content or has done this content. I'd like to get back to it, having that done to my book, and I was like, I'm still like not weirded out, that's not the right term, but I'm still like, it's so surreal that has happened. And like, if I get one video review, I was like, that's amazing. That's so cool. Yeah. That's something that I did. I
guess it's not something you think about. Like because obviously you've got a million other things to think about. So you're not thinking about that. And then I guess when it happens, when it hasn't even sunk in that you've published a book, especially because you've got that to think about and process first. Yeah, that would be surreal.
A couple of lads who did a would I read this based on the cover. I don't know them. I haven't had interactions with them, and I was like, that is so sick that has happened.
Oh yeah.
And
have you seen your cover?
But I hope that sort of like energy, and because I don't have expectations on monetary anything for this. I don't have expectations of an audience. I just want people to enjoy it or hate it, feel strongly about it in some way, shape,
have an opinion
or
some
have an opinion on it. And that's cool regardless of where people fall.
Yeah, I guess ultimately you want people to talk about it and be thinking about it, right? That's the ultimate goal, and that's why it doesn't really matter. You know, if people do, feel something, it doesn't really matter what.
But I also want feedback, because I want to keep writing.
Yeah, cool.
And like, I want the critical feedback, and like that was a learning curve to get used to critical feedback, which hopefully my skin is thicker for it over the course of writing this book by editors, because I think for the most part, even readers are like, I didn't like this for this reason, or I did like this for this reason. Here's what I would have preferred. And it's like, you can shape your craft by listening to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll try not to make every answer as long as that.
No, sorry, look, this is the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. I'm interested in this, even if I'm sure everyone else is, but I am too. Right? So since we were talking about characters, you mentioned about one of the more challenging parts of it. I'm curious then. So something that surprised me, especially because of our discussions about it with you, constantly telling me you're a world building guy. That's really what you're interested in, and so I was surprised how character focused this book was. Very much so. So you've mentioned a little bit, but can you speak a little bit more about like the how and the why of writing a character driven story for this in particular?
Nearly everything in this book is transgender allegory or queer allegory, and it was more surface level, and I had to learn more about them. As I was saying before, the reason it's character focused, and this may read, it may not read this way, is purely because our transitions are such a selfish journey, and it has to be. But there are people that get pulled into this along with you. And it's one of those things where you have to look internally at yourself. You don't have any other option. And to do that, you're going through this journey of discovering who you really are. So that is really why it's such a character-driven story, is because we are going through... Caleb's growth is very Caleb-focused for this first book. We do split into a couple of other POVs for book 2. But right now, we're really sitting with Caleb and his biases, his struggles, his learnings about the people around him, and we start to open up those people around him, because as we start to learn who we are, we start seeing the beauty of other people. So it was really trying to pull that feeling of our world opening up through the people that we interact with that I tried to put in the book. So that's why it is so people focused and so dialogue focused as well, because we open up through conversation. So people who don't love dialogue probably won't like this book because it's so dialogue heavy, and the reason for that, again, is part of the allegory. It's through therapy, through conversations we have with family and friends. So yeah, it's all very transcended while not being outwardly a transgender book.
Yeah, I love that. I had a sneaking suspicion that was going to be the direction of your answer, and and the reason I wanted to hear it from you was because like I absolutely noticed that as another transmasc person. So I think there will be the people that will really, really get it, and it will click really, really well because of that.
And that's the point.
That's the point, right? Exactly. So that came
Yeah,
through.
so people who don't get it, maybe they'll think about it, maybe they won't, but they'll have a good time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But for people who have transitioned in any way, we'll hopefully pick up on some of the nuance in there.
Yep, 100%. Which brings us to the next question, kind of related, because that trans allegory was definitely there to see, at least for me. And so I guess in relation to that, or related to that, were the sort of the themes of like found family and the complexities of families of all different kinds, right? Was that also intentional, or did you find that these themes were like organically coming out while you were writing anyway, or was that like there because you wanted that to be there as well?
A bit of both. I pantsed the shit out of this book. It is the only time I've ever succeeded in writing something. I thought I was a planner, I thought I was a plotter, until I got to this book and I was like, these guys are just going to do whatever they want. So I guess that's what we're writing. And I just sort of let it happen. And then once the draft was out, it was about honing those elements. I love found family personally. This is probably the one thing that I did bring influence from the books that I read, is a theme that I like, or a trope that I like, and I wanted that to be brought into it. Yes, it is allegory. Yes, it is intentional, because I think we as queer people, not necessarily just a trans thing, find a safety net. And I don't know about you, but for me, I basically deem people as safe or unsafe, and there are a few people in the middle, and those people who are safe become that network for us, and they become that family. So yes-ish.
Sure.
Did it start out that way? Maybe not, but as I grew, both in my own journey, because this story's been part of my life for a very long time, and the story itself grew, then
Sure.
yes.
I guess it becomes clearer and clearer as you write it, and you start to realize and formulate in your own head, like, oh, this is a big part of the transition for me. So of course it has to be in there, and of course it just keeps coming up naturally too, right?
I think with this one though, it's a big part of our lives as adults.
Cool.
The found family thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be trans, and I hope that comes across as well. A lot of these themes that I'm talking about isn't necessarily about our medical transition. It can just be transitions.
Of all
somebody's
kinds.
life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, just to be clear, that I guess the reason I bring that up is because that's also my experience. So that was my interest. But there is, and having read it, I can attest to this, multiple ways you can read this, and it's certainly not just for trans folks. Like, it's a story. It's just a story for everybody.
It's really interesting and rewarding hearing your experience with it as well. Just as someone, like, we grew up together essentially in our now lives. So yeah, it's cool for me to like get to bounce that off you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it more with you off the podcast as well. But that's for later, for us for later. So names also have importance in this story. I picked up on that, particularly chosen names. So how did you go about naming your characters?
This is not profound at all. There is 3 sentences in this book that talk about our naming ourselves. And I don't know that it's going to be where you think it is.
Okay.
The names just came to me. I just went, that suits that character, move on with our lives. And then since I read Wheel of Time, people were like, oh, you've got Aiel in there, who's a group of people in Wheel of Time. And I was like, that was not intentional at all.
Interesting.
Ava, the partner needed a name, and that just rolled off the tongue. I was like, sick, let's go with that.
Sometimes you just gotta go with your gut too, right? Like if it just pops up, there's a reason probably that happened.
The Argo was intentional, just because of the boat. There's a one line in there. That's not what I'm talking about. There is the 3 lines I'm talking about is Tylon's name. Because he is called Tylon throughout the entire book. That's not his name. We hear his name once.
Yes.
But there's a little... Yeah, and I wonder if other trans people will pick up on that.
Yeah.
Because it was just, oh, that's what you call yourself? Okay.
I love that it was referred to, though. That was so... I actually laughed out loud, I think.
And in the same way, the non-binary character is it's just a sentence, and then we move on, and we are never going to talk about them being non-binary in the next book. It's just they are. People are people. They exist. That's it.
Yeah, I loved it. I will say I actually have a funny story to share with you, right? Because we've talked about Xena, Warrior Princess, on this show before, because it was a big part of my queer awakening, I suppose. And so Xena's horse is also called Argo. And so there was a bit of time where I was just like, that's weird and funny. And then I got over it, so it was fine. But there was a learning curve, let's say. Yeah. I love it.
I would say the animals are more intentional than the names.
Yeah, sure, yes. Which I don't have a question prepared for that, but I do. I'm sure that will come up at some point because I do want to talk to you about that as well. I did find the action scenes to be some of the most well crafted in the story. Did you enjoy writing those, or did you find them? That's a note. He's shaking his head. Everyone listening.
Fuck me dead.
Yeah. So, and for context from experience, I also struggle. I very much struggle with writing action specifically. So I was just curious what your approach was and what you found the challenge there.
I cannot tell you how many throats got ripped out in the original script. If you think there was a lot in the fight, and there was in the final edition, like literally find another way, any other way for this action to occur than anyway. No, I did not enjoy writing action scenes. This is something that I got feedback from every step of the way, so I hope that they've come across okay. I will settle for okay in the final version of the book, because the alpha readers, the dev editors, the beta reader, the copy edit, the proofread, we had feedback on these action scenes the whole way through, because and I don't think I got it perfect, but it was better than it was. It's in the tension building, not necessarily the action scene itself, the rhythm and the flow of the tension building, where you get tense and you're ready for this big thing to occur, and then I personally hate when that big thing takes a sentence. I was like, what have we done all this for? Why have we built this tension? But then you don't want to get repetitive, and because we're dealing with animal bodies, there's only so many ways we can do certain actions, and if you're with weapons, you've only so many ways you can stab someone in the side. So trying not to get repetition, trying to build tension and having that crescendo, and then the catalyst and the big action scene, and then the come down. I got a lot of feedback of building tension and being like, oh, actually, I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable, like skirting away from it.
This is a common thing for writers, I will be clear about, because, this is something you will get in editing a lot. It's pretty common.
So, no, I didn't enjoy them. And there's so many more in book 2.
I'm sure there are. I think the reason for this question also was because I noticed, because they were so well crafted, I had a sneaking suspicion that you put more effort into them because of, I know from experience how that can be a challenge.
Mark.
So I think you did. So well done there. There is a particularly gruesome scene somewhere in the middle of the book.
I have to think about this.
It involves feathers. Yep.
Got it.
That one. Yeah. So that one, I actually physically shuddered with that one. It was a like that kind of reaction. So I was just curious if you intentionally tried to include like body horror elements, if that was a conscious thing, or was that again an organic part of the process? What was that like for you?
Everything is intentional in this book. That's why it took so fucking long. Yes, it was intentional to do body horror, and this is again allegory about how we don't like our bodies as trans people and how we seek to change them, and this scene, and it's not very long, is an amalgamation of dysphoria. It is about how uncomfortable we get and how we want to rip our own skin off sometimes, and we don't
shuddering now thinking about it.
We don't know how to explain that. And it's the amalgamation of the frustration that we feel when changes aren't happening quick enough. So this character changes too quickly, and we get to see the other side of that. So yes, it was very intentional. Yeah. A lot of the horror elements in this, and there's not a great deal, but I can't say that there's none, are intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will agree. There's not a lot, but they have impact because there's so few. Well, at least they did for me. So I think that was, and that one in particular, I wasn't really thinking, like, I suppose that is exactly dysphoria. And I think that's maybe why I have such a strong physical reaction to it. I didn't really think about it in that way.
I've always struggled to describe what dysphoria feels like to people.
Yeah.
And that's like there's a song that I have that I've shared with very few people where I'm like, this is it. This is what it feels like. And I can't tell you any better than that. But hopefully I told people better than that.
Yeah, I think that works pretty well. And final question, and this one is pure curiosity for my sake. So how much of yourself have you put into the character of Caleb? And you can answer that any which way you like.
It's a lot and not a lot at the same time. Caleb doesn't represent me as a person. There's a lot of me split in the book. So there are elements of my experience in many of the characters and just little things that they do, which is something that I've not really seen. For me, when I read and I know an author, I tend to pick that the character that they base off themselves, and I purposefully didn't want to do that. But because transition is so layered and so multifaceted for many of us, I was like, well, we pick apart our lives, so I'm going to pick apart my life and put them into little bits. Caleb represents the journey more than anything. Caleb is an idea. There are parts of him that match my experience. So Caleb's a dick when we meet him. He is, and it really gives me so much joy when people are like, I don't like him. Like when we meet him, I don't like him.
You're not meant to.
You're not meant to, because I was a dick. When I was so out of control in my emotions that I didn't know what I was doing. I was lashing out at people. I was such obnoxious shit. And the journey that you have to go on, you are learning to survive in your own skin. You're learning to survive in many different ways. And I think the character of Caleb is really the journey in itself. So there's a lot, but also not everything within him.
I like that. I think that's perfect. Cool. Well, thank you for your participation.
Thank you for those thoughtful questions. It was fun to be on the other end of the interview process.
Yeah. Is this your first interview on Alpha?
You get the exclusive.
I get the exclusive. Cool.
I haven't signed up to do any others.
Well, hopefully many more.
I could talk about like any of these characters, any of the scenarios that they're in. It's all allegory. So, but people don't necessarily want to, talk about transition. But if you do, then let me know.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good point. Yeah. So I'm sure there'll be more discussions and stuff to come. But for now, if anyone wants to read Kris's book, and please do, I encourage you to. I think it's worth you picking up and reading it. It's available on Amazon Kindle, and again, physical copies coming. Is it later this year or? Yeah,
it should be done before Christmas. I've sent off the artwork, so I had to get the artwork sized for the covers. That's been sent off to Ingram Spark. I'm just waiting for the process copy to come back so I can order one and make sure it looks okay, and then once it looks okay, it'll be live. So hopefully the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. And we'll have all the links to it in the show notes. So click through, check it out, and review and like and do all the good things on Kris's socials.
If you like it, tell me. If you don't, don't.
Feedback is good.
No, feedback is good. It's a blessing.
So we have another segment called Coming Right Up.
I can't wait to do anything else.
Literally
anything else.
Yeah.
Then okay. I was going to say I was going to take a month off. I think I'm just going to take till the end of December off.
I think that sounds very healthy. You probably should do that.
But at the same time, I'm jotting stuff down for book 2 because there's a lot of, because I read it so many times in the last little week, I was like, and they're normally like one sentence. Oh, there's a sentence that I have to reference in book 2 because that's an open book that we need to close. Yeah. There's a lot of that, so like building the plot off those has been happening, but I think I need to like just walk away for a minute before I get back into it. But I bought a new game today, which I almost talked to you about before, called Enshrouded. It's early access, which I know is not for you.
Nope, but it's very much for you.
But it is for me, and this is a fantasy survival game. I like playing survival, so maybe that's where that's come in. which you can play with up to 16 people. So I think you can play it solo, but I've also asked Jim, our housemate, if she wants to play it. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's probably going to be my what I want to sink my teeth into over the next couple of months. So I'm quite fatigued with reading at the moment. Just, I've just read my book a lot. It's not to do with any other genres or books, but there is one that I'm looking forward to, which is called Level Apocalypse, which is book 3 in Level Unknown by David Dalglish. It's a lit RPG. I believe it finishes with 3 books, so it's a trilogy. It's the last book. It comes out in December 9th, so I've pre-ordered it. So that will probably be read.
Very cool. Very cool.
You've got a very busy month coming up. What have you got on your radar?
Other than a wedding,
yeah,
yeah,
it takes up a lot of time.
It kind of does. Yeah, look, to be perfectly real about it, I'm probably not going to get through much, but there are a couple of things on my radar, and a discovery I've made. So I'm going to share one game, or 2 games. One I definitely will be playing, and then one I just learned about, which is amazing. I can't wait to talk about this one. But the one that's coming up for me, and I think it's out on 12th of December, is Terminator 2D No Fate, which is a pixel art game, basically of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So one of my favourite films, and it's kind of like this recreation, like all the scenes are in there, but in like pixel perfect graphics. And it has all like the main story beats, but it has like multiple endings and things that could have happened that didn't, and and there's different styles of gameplay. So there's like a part where you're like trying to like sniper through a window or something, and there's like the cop cars all below, and then there's other parts where you're playing as like Sarah Connor, just like running through a building and kind of have to kill all the T1, there's a T1000s chasing you. It looks amazing, and I think it's been delayed a couple times. So like it would approach the date, I'd be like, oh, can't wait to play this, because there's not many games I play at launch, and then it kept getting pushed back. So anyway, I've pre-ordered it from like an actual physical store, because I'm getting it on Switch 1. I don't think it's on Switch 2, in a physical copy. So hopefully I'll play it when it's out. Hopefully I'll get my copy. But I cannot wait for this game. It looks so good. I'll put some links in the show notes, because it's like you have to see it. But it is a labor of love. I've seen some of the developer videos, and they talk about this with such passion, which I love.
I remember you talking to me about this ages ago.
Yeah, it looks so good. I actually found out from there's Michael, who has been on a friend of the show. Michael has been on the show. He talked about it. Not him specifically, his community. So Vooks, the Australian Nintendo, probably the biggest Aussie Nintendo community. We were talking about it on the Discord, and someone just said, hey, check it out, and I did. I was like, oh yeah, this is one that I absolutely have to get. So yeah, it looks really cool. The other one is new to me, and it's called Kingdoms of the Dump. It's available now. It is. I'm just going to read you the blurb, because like I can't do any better than this. Kingdoms of the Dump is a Super Nintendo styled RPG set in a fantasy world of garbage, dreamed up by two full-time janitors. So join Dustin Binsley, the trash can knight, as he travels across the 5.5 kingdoms of the dump. Fight fearsome, filthy foes, brave, dangerous, dank dungeons, and take on the totally disgusting, toxic gremlin army to save the dump from all-out war.
It looks cute.
It looks amazing. It's pixel art, of course.
I don't like the title, but you have me at pixel art.
It looks so good.
You play a little trash can.
Yeah. It's exactly what you think it is, but it's like as soon as they said like Super Nintendo style RPG, like I know exactly in my head what that looks like, and I was just like, okay, I'm down.
Okay, that's cute.
Yep. So to be honest, I probably won't play it before I want to get through Dispatch, and also Rue Valley, which I talked about last episode. I still haven't played, so those will probably be first. But then I'm definitely wanting to get to this one. So yes, Kingdoms of the Dump.
It does look cute. I made the mistake of YouTubing a bunch of pixel art games that came out in the last couple of years, and my wish list on Steam is just stupid. It's stupid.
Good luck with that.
They're all turn-based though, and like normally that grinds my gears, but maybe I need to get over myself.
Yeah, I think you do. Honestly,
I just don't like strategy. I'd have no patience.
Well, I don't like tactical RPGs. I can't play them for that reason, so I get it. But turn-based, it's kind of chill. It's chill games.
To however much damage people are going to take. That's why I never, I wasn't a card kid, like a trading card kid. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was big time.
All right, it's time to spin our wheels. It is
Literally.
Backlog Roulette time. So I will share my screen. So for anyone new, Backlog Roulette is Ryan and I have 3 wheels. One has read, watch, and play on it each. And we choose something that we're going to do before the next podcast episode. And we've got to give it a good crack. So I will share the screen. We'll share the thing.
Excited.
I think my books is already preloaded. So do you want me to go first? Because I'm going book. Because I don't know what to read right now. I've got nothing. I
think that's as good a reason as... This is exactly why we did this in the first place. So.
All right, let's get rid of all of this shit.
Love ads. Who doesn't love a good ad?
We don't pay for this. So really it's on us. All right, so I'm going book for the month of December to find out what I'm going to be reading. Oh, you almost got... Oh, no. There was a couple in here that I... like your recommendations that I just haven't got to. So You've Lost a Lot of Blood is an Eric LaRocca novella.
I thought it was. I was trying to figure it out, yeah.
I actually don't know if this is a short story novella, but I've had it since it released, which was years ago at this point, and I just haven't read it. So, that's a nice short one to get in. That'll tick off one of the Goodreads numbers, I guess, for the reading challenge.
I think you've got to balance out Exodus, so, it makes sense.
Yes, I've done too many big books this year, so I'm done. With that. Cool. All right, so You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca is mine. I'll put the link in the description as well, because I don't have the one physically. I've got it on Kindle. All right, Ryan, what are you going?
I'm going to go a film because I haven't watched enough, and also I've got too many things on my plate, and that seems easy.
Yeah. You've not watched The Princess Bride? Oh my goodness.
Nope. I was waiting for that.
I can't influence this. I'll just change them all to The Princess Bride. All right, what is Ryan watching? Oh, good one.
Oh, nice. Okay. Grand Budapest Hotel. I've been wanting to watch this one for a long time, and I was actually out of all of these, that's probably the one I would have picked anyway. So that's great.
Is this the bike riders with? No, okay, we'll talk about it off screen.
Yes, the one that
I've talked about. So good. All right.
Cool. All right.
Cool. Well, that was us. We successfully have new things to look at for the month coming ahead. So I hope everyone has enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the interview today that I got bullied into. No, it was fine. It wasn't really a bullying at all. It was okay. All the notes and links to the things that we've talked about will be in the show notes of the episodes. You can go and check that down below if you're watching on YouTube. You can find our show at Genre Blender Podcast on YouTube, and if you want to listen to the audio only version, this is available on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, whichever one you choose to go with. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Give us a like, share it with your friends, helps us out a ton, and we'll let you know when we make a new episode. If you hit the bell, it'll tell you when a new episode is going live. If you want to find us elsewhere, you can visit genreblender.net. You can find everything we do. Ryan's been writing some articles over there. I'm sure I'm going to get a review at some point for Alpha on the website, but you can go ahead and check that out if that's your jam.
Absolutely. And to all the world hoppers out there, we wish you safe travels, and we'll catch you in the next episode. And until then, take care, everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.